You're listening to the Manage My Home podcast, the podcast for property owners who would like help with their rental properties. This show is based on the RPM WV Phoenix team's experience in leasing and managing homes and will give you useful advice and tips to succeed with your rental property. And now, from Phoenix, Arizona, here is Lisa from RPM WV Phoenix.
Hi, and thank you for joining me. This is Lisa. And today we're going to talk about how to go about changing property management companies, or how to go about, like, if you've been self-managing and you're bringing a property manager on board. We get this call and this question a lot. How is the right way to do it? So we put together this simple PowerPoint so that everyone would have kind of a guide. So when to do the change. So we always suggest doing it around the middle of the month. Reason being that the new management company will have ample time to reach out to your tenants. This is assuming that the home is tenant occupied. They'll have ample time to reach out to your tenants to let them know about the changeover. So for example, if you wanted the new management company to collect October rent, you want to make the change around September 15th. This way, the new company has proper time to get in touch with the tenants, let them know about the change. And at the same time, the old management company or yourself can be wrapping things up with the tenant for the changeover. So the items that are going to be needed for the new property manager is going to be your executed lease agreement with all the addendums and the renewals. And it's just important that you make sure that all the copies you have are signed by everybody. The tenant contact information, phone number, and email. Tenant's refundable security deposits. So the way we handle this when there's a tenant in place is we actually give the property owner the option. They can either keep that refundable security deposit and then be responsible for dispensing it when the tenant vacates, or they can send it to us and then we can take care of the disposition of deposit. But either way, if you're with a current property manager, you want to make sure you get the refundable security deposit. Keys, the new property management company is definitely going to need at least a key to the property. And if it's available, the tenant executed move-in inspection. If it's not signed by the tenant, then unfortunately it doesn't do a lot of good. You can send it over to the new management company, but the tenant could always challenge it if they dispute the charges on the move-out inspection since they didn't actually sign it. So big thing with this one is oftentimes we'll take over management services for people who bought the multifamilies and they may not have all the lease agreements, and that can get a little bit tricky with that as well. So you want to do your best to try to get some kind of documents that you have for the tenant that's in place. Otherwise, the new property manager really can't enforce any late payments, due dates, things along those lines. Now, this is a question we get a lot as well. Well, I'm with a current property manager. I'm switching over to you, Lisa. You can just go ahead and get all these items, right, from the old property manager. Well, unfortunately, all that the new property manager can do is they can actually facilitate the pickup. So for example, if you contact your current property manager, they say they're going to put everything together, the new property manager can send someone to pick up those items. But because the management agreement is between you and the current property manager, your new property manager doesn't have the authority to get involved to get the items that you need. So that is one thing to keep in mind. We always recommend sending an email to the new property manager with a list of the items that you need. This way you have written notification as to when those items are, when you requested those items, and then when they let you know that they're going to be available. And our question comes in today from actually a client that we just started services, and we also get this question a lot, but their question is they're bringing over services to us after self-managing it's a multiplex, and all of the tenants are on month-to-month leases, or they don't have copies of the lease. And so they came to us wanting us to immediately sign lease agreements with all of the tenants. So This is not something we recommend when changing over management companies or when changing from self-managing to management companies. We recommend that you wait about 2 months until you make any significant changes. Now, when I say significant changes, that would mean having the tenant sign a new lease, doing a rent increase. The reason being is if you don't do that, the tenants are going to automatically assume that the property management company is the reason that they suddenly have to sign a new lease. They have to have a rent increase. So it immediately sets up a negative relationship between the new property management company and the tenant. So we always recommend, give it a couple months, get through that transition period, make sure that the tenants are paying the new management company rent, that things are going smoothly, and then look at doing rent increases or signing new leases or things along those lines. So we hope you enjoyed our podcast today. We welcome any questions to info@rpmwvphx.com, and we can discuss them in our next show next month. Thanks, and have a great month.